My name's Jason. If you're new to my channel, you might be wondering why the name Nurses to Riches was chosen. Well, I'll tell you. I'm a registered nurse, and so is my wife, Monica. We both grew up with very humble beginnings. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and Monica was born in the Philippines. We moved here at a really early age. We were both raised by single mothers. I grew up in public housing, or as some of you might know it, the projects. Monica grew up in Section 8 housing, both of which are programs subsidized by the government. In college, I held a full-time job making $10 an hour in the financial sector. That is, until I got laid off during the worst recession of my adult life, the 2008 recession. And so many of you might be in the same position today that I was in back then. So, what about Monica? Well, I already told you, she's Filipino. And as a Filipino, what do you think she's always wanted to be in life? That's right, a nurse. Not to stereotype, but she practically came out of the womb wanting to be a nurse. So, Monica and I, we both graduated about the same time. I graduated in 2013, she graduated in 2014. Both worked up until about the end of 2016 before we realized that we truly love to travel. I mean, it was a passion of ours. We love photography, we love to travel. That's how our brand, Traveling Dorks, came to fruition. But one thing we shortly realized is that we were enjoying this lifestyle, but we had absolutely no savings to show for it. So that's when we realized we had to take some major steps to improve our situation. I mean, coming from very humble beginnings to what we were making as dual income nurses in New York City, you would have thought we would have been loaded. Well, New York City is not cheap. And our income relative to the cost of living in New York City was not going to get us where we wanted to be financially with an excess amount of FU money unless we learn to manage our finances properly and increase our income. So let's fast forward a little bit. On this particular day at work, I just so happened to be precepting a college nursing student. And I remember her mentioning to me that her parents were both nurses working in Northern California. She told me that her parents consistently made over $200,000 per year each. I just couldn't believe it. All the things she told me were like music to my ears. So I immediately started looking at reasons why moving to California was an excellent idea. Over the course of the next couple of months, Monica and I had endless conversations about why we should be moving to California. And I know you've probably been hearing lately of there being a mass exodus of people moving out of California and into states like Texas, Florida, Nevada, Idaho, you name it. Every other state but California, people are moving into. So we've been living in California now for close to 4 years, and these are the 5 reasons why I think you should move to California if you're working as a nurse in New York City or anywhere else in the US. Reason number 1, every employer in the state of California is required to pay its employees overtime, that is, time and a half, the regular rate, for all hours worked in excess of 40 hours in a single work week, or 8 hours in a single workday. Employers in California also have to pay overtime to employees who work a 7th consecutive day in a single work week. They must pay double the employee's regular rate for all hours worked in excess of 12 in a single workday, or for all hours worked in excess of 8 on the 7th consecutive day of work in a single work week. There is no other state in the country that pays overtime rates like California does. Let's move on to reason number 2. Reason number 2 of why you should move to California if you're a nurse working in New York City or anywhere else in the United States. Nurses have ratios. That's right. California is the only state in the country to require, by law, specific number of nurses to patients in every hospital unit. It requires all hospitals to provide 1 nurse for every 2 patients in the ICU and 1 nurse for every 4 patients in the emergency room, for example. And I can tell you from experience, as someone who's worked in the emergency department and had 15 patients assigned to him in New York on his first day of orientation, having manageable ratios should be reason enough for you to want to move to California. All right, let's move on to reason number 3. Reason number 3 of why you should move to California if you are a nurse working in New York City or anywhere else in the United States. California has one of the most diverse climates of any other state in the country. On the eastern side of the state, you have the Sierra Mountains. that provide for some of the best ski resorts in the country. You also have Yosemite National Park with its picturesque mountains and waterfalls. And you have Lake Tahoe with its clear blue waters perfect for swimming in the summers. And its quaint little towns make it perfect for a nice relaxing summer day getaway. And on the western side of the state, you have the Pacific Coastline with the Pacific Coast Highway, providing some of the most scenic, beautiful drives of any other place I've ever seen in the country. On the northern end of California, you have the Redwood Forests with its tall, timeless redwoods. You have Napa Valley with some of the best wine you will ever taste in the country. And San Francisco with its iconic Golden Gate Bridge, Lombard Street, and many other places to check out. Lastly, you have a drier, warmer climate with San Diego and Joshua Tree National Park on the south end of California. If you're an adventure seeker or just love to relax, California has the climate for you. After a hard day of work, there is no shortage of things to do in California. So let's move on to reason number 4 of why you should move to California if you're a nurse working in New York City or anywhere else in the United States. Reason number 4, think about moving to Sacramento if you're looking for relatively low cost of living with higher wages than the rest of California, and definitely higher than New York City. Sacramento benefits from being in close proximity to Lake Tahoe with an approximate travel time of 2 hours, Napa Valley with a travel time of 1 hour and 11 minutes, San Francisco with a travel time of 1 hour and 21 minutes, and Yosemite National Park with a drive of 2 hours and 44 minutes. And you get all of this with the fact that the cost of living in Sacramento is lower than all of the major cities in California. There are numerous websites that collect data on cost of living indexes. BestPlaces.net is one of these websites. If you browse through their page, you can compare the cost of living in different cities in California. Here, you'll notice that Sacramento and its surrounding areas are much more affordable to live in than the bigger cities closer to the coastline, including San Jose, San Francisco, LA, and San Diego. Okay, let's move on to reason number 5 of why I think you should move to California if you're a nurse working in New York City or anywhere else in the United States. Reason number 5, California has the highest pay of any state in the country. And don't just take my word for it. California pays its nurses the highest wage of any other state in the country. Just look at the latest numbers from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The median income for nurses nationwide is $77,460. The median income for nurses in California, $113,240. And if you adjust it for cost of living, it still averages to $81,761. Now, I can honestly tell you that these numbers don't tell you the true story of what nurses earn in California. I work with nurses who easily make over $250,000 per year, and they don't even have to sacrifice their sanity to do so. And just to provide some supporting evidence, Monica and I were able to save up for 8 months after moving to California and buy our first home. Our home here in Sacramento would cost at least $3 million in New York City. If you're interested in a home tour, let us know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to make a future video on that. So, just to wrap up this video, I'd like to tell you that I plan on being completely transparent with all of you because I want to help all of you on your journey to financial independence, early retirement, and having a fruitful life. If you're interested in specific details regarding my income, nurses' benefits in California, or any other topics you'd like me to discuss, please feel free to leave a comment, like this video, and you don't need to subscribe. I mean, I don't want to be just another channel on your list of endless YouTube subscriptions, but if you do like this video or comment, it'll show me that you guys are really interested in the content that I've given you and will give me a reason to continue churning out new videos. And although Monica is very shy, and she's not in my first video, I might just bring her into one of these videos at a future date. So, with that said, have a wonderful day and see you on the next one.